You're welcome. All right, if I can have everyone's attention again, we'll continue our availability with Jimmie Johnson, driver of the number 48 Lowe's Chevrolet. And Jimmie, coming into Kansas this weekend, we'll let you give an opening statement about that. But first, I think you have a Helmet of Hope message you'd like to deliver today.
Yeah, we do. We'll do our drawing for the Helmet of Hope. And once again, a big thank you to Blue Bunny for supporting this program and for everybody that has turned in their nominations. Their profiles so we can pick out who it is. So the first one will be the media, and that is number 7. Nicole Briscoe from ESPN, Alzheimer's Association in honor of Dan Weldon. That's awesome. Glad she won. And then fan. 9. Yep. Melissa Haig from Salem, Oregon, and its First Descendants, and it offers young adults fighting cancer for outdoor adventure and to help empower them to reclaim their lives and to connect with others. So very proud to have them on board as well.
Thank you, Jimmie, and thanks again for all you do with that and helping the Helmet for Hope and all of those charities. Okay, we'll open it up. If you'll talk just a little bit about coming into Kansas this weekend.
Yeah, we're real happy with the way our cars perform come race time. Qualifying's been a bit of a struggle at some tracks. Although last weekend we got a top 10, which wasn't too bad. But in the race, clearly had an amazing race car, and excited to come from Texas here. You know, the banking's a bit different, but still, the teams, really all the teams, are still in that mile-and-a-half track mindset, and I'm ready to build on what we did last weekend and hope to finish one spot better.
Okay, we'll take questions now. If you'll raise your hand, we'll get a wireless mic to you. We'll start with Jeff, then come up to Jim.
Jeff Hood of RacingToday.com. Jimmie, with the repaving coming here, obviously Michigan, Pocono, Bristol, changes there, is that frustrating for you as a driver, knowing not only is it going to take up 4 more days of your schedule to come back early to do testing, but also you have to throw out your notebooks of what you know in the past?
No, I mean it might be that mindset for some drivers, but for me, I look at it as an opportunity. You know, the track's going to change and it's going to be different, and whoever figures it out first will have an advantage and win. So I'm excited about the new surfaces that go down. You know, some of them are very challenging, and I hope that people pay attention to the tracks that have instant success and the others that take a long time to come around, and we can learn from that as well. But I'm excited for the opportunity, and I love to test. I love to be at the racetrack learning, and I'm excited to have testing at tracks that we race at and really get data sets on tracks other than, you know, Milwaukee or Nashville and these tracks that we don't race at anymore. So I'm happy we have some testing at the real tracks on the correct tire.
Okay, we'll take our next question from Jim.
Jim Utter, Charlotte Observer. Jimmie, when you won 5 championships, a lot of people kind of point out, oh, he has won one race in the last 34. But as a competitor during that same stretch, much like last weekend, you finished second, I think, 5 or 6 times. After the fact, do you spend more time thinking about what you could have done on a second place finish and to turn it into a win, rather compared to, say, one where maybe you ran 14th and just that was the best you could do that day? Just what do you spend more time as you're worrying about the next time around?
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, when you finish a close second or you're a factor in the race and you're second, those are so much more difficult than a 14th, as you mentioned, or even a distant second. If you ran 14th all day and found yourself in second, and you leave the track pretty excited about the way things turned out, but when you lead the most laps and finish second, those sting. You know, last weekend, I've thought long and hard about the last 2 pit stops and the adjustments we made. We still clearly had a fast race car, but those final 2 segments weren't our strongest, and we got to make a little different adjustments to the car with those given handling characteristics to make the car a little bit stronger. But with all that in mind, I still think we had an awesome shot to win last week and learn from my mistakes. You know, it's part of it.
Okay, we'll take as many questions as we can get to. We'll start this row right here. We got Nate, Bob, and then going down to the end.
Nate Ryan, USA Today. Jimmie, I know that repaves come up like it seems every week. I know you talked about this last week, but something that struck me, you said that you were talking about how that people should learn from the asphalt combinations, and you said if anybody is listening, this is what I'd like to tell them. Does anybody listen? And is there any more consultation going on with drivers and tracks or drivers in NASCAR where I've heard that Bristol hasn't really consulted a lot of people about the change they're going to announce next week. Are they soliciting enough input and advice from you guys, and do you feel like you're being heard?
I haven't heard or spoken to anyone regarding Bristol, but a lot of the other tracks, NASCAR has held a meeting in the truck on a race weekend and brought in the crew, the paving crew, and the engineers that are designing it and laying it out. And I've sat in on a lot of those meetings, and it felt like my voice has been heard. The one that caught me off guard, and I think a lot of drivers off guard, was the repave at Phoenix. The conversations that took place and kind of the understanding from the drivers leaving those meetings, when we came back, it was a far different racetrack than kind of what we had talked about. And I guess that's their prerogative. They can, they're spending the money on the track, they can do what they want. But Michigan, I'm eager to get back to. I was involved with different aspects of that and safety in a couple areas with some walls. And I've spoken to Robin Pemberton, and I know that they've addressed those areas. And so we are in the loop, and it kind of shifts around. Some weeks, some tracks they may ask me, others it might be Stewart, Gordon, but they work hard. NASCAR, I think, puts that meeting together, and they work hard to have our voice heard.
Go ahead with your question, Bob.
Bob Hocker, Sporting News. Last year at this time, there had been 45 cautions for wrecks or stalled cars on the track, and this year there's only been 25. Any idea why you guys haven't been wrecking so much?
I don't know. With this car, I'm surprised there's not more wrecks. I mean, I see a lot of guys really out of shape, and this car is a little bit more friendly compared to the car way back when. Once you get into yaw, it holds a little bit more downforce, and you can slide the car around a bit more. So there might be something in that, but I don't know why. I mean, I see guys out of control. I see mistakes being made, but we're able to catch it for whatever reason.
Go ahead.
Jordan Bianchi, SB Nation. Jimmie, you were second at Vegas, second at Texas. Those are both mile-and-a-half tracks. What can you take from those races and apply this weekend to Kansas?
We're thinking actually more of Texas and in Vegas. There's so much more speed and vertical loading that it's tough to take too much from there. I mean, there certainly are some trends that we can take, but we're looking at some other tracks that we think might apply a little bit better here. And with all the practice we have today, we're going to work through a few ideas. But our big track stuff was 2 miles, mile and a half. We're kind of our struggling, our tough combinations run on last year, especially working traffic. Clean air, the car was comfortable and it can make stuff happen. But this year, our cars have raced really well. Traffic without, so I feel we've made a lot of gains. And, with the championships I've won over the years, we won a lot of races on mile and a halves and finished in the top 3 a lot on mile and a halves. And I'm excited to see our performance where it is now and build on it to get ready for the chase.
Okay, folks, we only have time for 2 more questions. I know there's about 10 of you with your hands up. The last 2 will be Marty and Karen.
Marty Smith, ESPN. Johnson, what have you seen from Mr. Hendrick that shows you how much getting that 200th win means to him?
Now it's turned into we've been so close to getting it in the last month or so. It's kind of a deal now where we're joking about let's just not even think about it. Let's move on. We've watched other athletes at a big mark, if it's a home run mark or whatever it may be, just kind of get stuck, or on base mark, whatever it is. It's stuck there, and we know that our teams are all capable of winning races, and we've all been very close this year, and we'll just go out and do our jobs this week and hopefully get one of those 4 cars in victory lane. And I know when that happens, you'll see a very big sigh of relief from Rick and the team.
Okay, go ahead, Karen.
Jimmie, Karen from KNBC TV in Kansas City. Just talking to Greg Biffle, he said he's been plotting and strategizing a point strategy since before the Daytona 500. You're an expert at winning championships. How do you handle that? Do you start planning before the season, getting what you can from every track, seeing what happens now is important in the fall, or do you have something different you do?
No, I mean, through the championships I've won, it's gone in a lot of different directions. Certainly when we come to a track in the spring that is the track we race at in the Chase in the fall, there's a little bit more focus on things, and you make sure that your notes are buttoned up and form opinions on, for when you leave, the things that you need to do when you come back. But, the Chase, when it gets down to the guys fighting for the championship, in my experience, it's really about the 2 or 3 guys that are 4 guys that are fighting for it and what they can do at that point in time. So I'm more focused on getting my stuff comfortable, getting it right so that I can race and do what I need to. And then in the Chase, as it develops, hopefully we're one of the players. And then I've got to be on my game to outrace whoever's there in the mix.